Sea view, pool view, unblock view. Does facing matters when it comes to the purchase of your property? Why am I doing this video today? Because every time I serve buyers, be it for resale or new launch property, this is one of the many questions that they will definitely ask me. If I buy a better view, does it guarantee me a better profit in the future? And I believe that is a question that is on many people's mind. This is the condo which I'm using as my case study. If you can tell from the site plan itself, this is Treasure at Tampines. Why I'm choosing this condo, right, mainly is because of four reasons. Firstly, because it's relatively new, meaning all the transactions that they are being sold are from first-hand owner to second owner. So all the transactions have the same baseline. Secondly, because it's a huge condo, and because it's a huge condo, there's many transactions here for me to compare and analyze. And all the unit types which I have chosen, right, to analyze, they have a minimum of 50 transactions. Thirdly, is because of the facing, not to be confused with the facing of the pool facing or whatsoever, but all the units facing are direct north or direct south. So you wouldn't have an issue of west sun or morning sun. And lastly, is because all the layouts are pretty similar. So if you can see why I chose, the last reason why I chose Treasure at Tampines for a comparison is because all the layout it's pretty similar. There's not much variations. So we kept it under control and we can form an easier conclusion as to does facing matters. Just to go through quickly, right? If you look at the one bedroom and the one plus study, the size difference is only around 21 square feet, and that difference is in the master bedroom area where they have a small corner protruding out from the master bedroom. And if you were to move on to the two bed, one bath, right? As you can see, the layout is exactly the same as well. The only difference for the bigger 592 square feet would most likely be at the corridor area where it's slightly longer by 11 square feet. Moving on, 915 square feet, more than 50 transactions, just a difference in facing. And this is for the three bedroom premium. There's three different layout, but if you look at these three different layout, right, the only difference between the biggest layout and the smallest layout, right, is at the entrance area where they have a welcoming area which is like a 玄关 So with that aside, we can safely assume that buyers would not choose the different types of units based on the layout because they are all very similar. So three different facing for Treasure at Tampines. The first two are the outside facing. One is facing the expressway, and you have sort of a setback with lots of greeneries in the middle. The other side of the expressway will be one where you're facing the school and HDB block. And lastly, the ones which most people would think are the premium units are those that are facing inwards towards the facilities, mainly the pool, function room or gym area with a very nice landscaping in between the units itself. So without further ado, let us deep dive into the analysis. Firstly, with the one bedroom and one plus study. So all these units which are highlighted in red, right, are all the one bedroom and one plus study. As you can see, they are scattered everywhere, outwards facing, inwards facing, and the school facing basically. So to form my analysis, right, I actually broken it down based on the stack and the profitability and the average price and average profitability of the unit. And the first we are going to look, right, is the top three. I wouldn't say worst performing because they all still make money, right? But the least profitable units against the top three most profitable units of the same unit type. And if we were to see, these are the different stack that make difference in profit. And for the one bedroom, it goes as low as 25,000, and the highest is at 213,000. So you can see it's almost 10 times difference in the amount of profit that they earn. So take a minute and guess, where do you think all these units are located? Are they at the more premium inwards facing, or are they at the more less premium outwards facing? So take a minute and think about it. How would you make your purchase based on the site plan you saw earlier on? If you have already formed your own assumptions based on the profitability chart which I show you on the previous slide, right? Take a look at this site plan now. The ones which I have circled in green are the ones that are the most profitable, the top 3 to 4 most profitable, and the ones circled in red are the least profitable. Mind you, they all still make money. It's just that the gap that they are making is as much as a 10 times difference. And one thing you can see, right, the inwards facing units are actually making a lesser profit than those outwards facing. So the common conception or the common myth out there is people do not want to be nearer to the road because they are noisy and stuff. But this chart here and this site plan prove to be something different. But before we form any conclusion, because it's still inconclusive, let's move on and look at the average profitability. So if you were to look at the average profitability, right, look at the different stack. Why I use this, right? Because based on one, you can't really form a judgment. But if you look at the stack across, I actually highlighted in red, right? Those that make the least profit, they still make a decent amount, 70,000 to slightly less than 100,000, to those that are making much higher, which is around 156,000 all the way to 179,000. So this difference is about 50 to 75% difference in profit earned. And where are all these used? So if we were to look at the side plan over here, similarly, I have highlighted out the top three highest average profit and the least profitable average. To no surprise, the ones that are facing outwards have the highest profitability as compared to those facing inwards. But does this means that people prefer a more outwards facing and are willing to pay a higher dollar value as compared to the inwards facing? Before we conclude, let us look at more, which is the 2 bedroom and 1 bath next. So these are all the 2 bed 1 bath layouts. Similarly, they are spread everywhere, facing the road, facing the pool, and facing the school. Once again, do you think the outwards facing will overperform the inwards facing this time round? Let's have a look. So these are the single transactions, top three and bottom three for each of the 2 bed 1 bath layout. The least profitable goes with stack 45, 51, and 51, and the most profitable is 37, 37, and 28. And now let's see where they are all situated. So you can see I highlighted them as well. In green, the ones in green are actually those that are facing Tampines Street 11, which is the outside facing. This is not even the unblock facing anymore. This is facing the school. And the least profitable are those that are facing the pool. Does it mean that nobody loves a pool view? Okay, I'll come to that conclusion slightly later after we have gone through all the data which I have gathered. Let's quickly go through the average profitability of each stack. If you can see, the top three most performing are 153, 192, and 37, and the least performing stacks are 51, 144, and 52. And where are they located in Treasure at Tampines? No surprise, the inwards facing are actually the least performing, and the outwards facing are the best performing. And the difference, right, is almost 100,000. The least performing is only earning an average of 80,000, whereas the top earning one, outwards facing, is earning averagely around 180,000. So does this means that the outwards unblock facing, even if it's road facing, it's more favorable in the resale market and you can earn more money from it? We will continue with the 3 bedroom research lastly, and we will come to a conclusion for it. Okay, so if you were to look quickly at 915 square feet, we'll just break it down. The top three most profitable individual transactions are stack 61, 151, and 62. And least profitable is 14, 19, and 19. And the difference is almost 4 times, with the least profitable earning 144 and the most profitable earning 464K. And if you to look at where they are all located, okay, this time round it's a mix because the most profitable, they are still outwards facing, but for the least profitable, they have inwards and outwards facing. And if you were to look in details, right, the outwards facing that's least profitable, they're actually nearer to the bin center and the electrical generator, which might account for uh, that low, which might account for lower profitability. But let's look at the average profitability. The bottom three stack will be stack 14, 151, and 199. To no surprise, the one facing the rubbish chute or bin chute is still not earning as much. But for the other two stacks, there is an inward stack and there's an outward stacks. And for the most profitable, similarly, there's two outward stacks and inward stacks. So it's a bit hard to form a conclusion whether facing do matter when it comes to profitability based on 915 square feet. We just know that people really don't like to be near bin center. That's all. So one tip if you can gather from all this messiness or randomness is don't buy near rubbish chute lah, because you have harder time to sell in the future as well. And lastly will be the 3 bedroom premium for their individual transactions. If you were to look at it, the least profitable, they are only earning 200 to 250,000 and the stack is 93, 146 and 53, and all of them are inwards facing. And the most profitable are 134, 120 and 119. All of them are outwards or unblock facing if you can look at where I circle, which is quite in line with the 1 bedroom and the 2 bed 1 bath which I showed earlier on. So the only stacks or the only units that have a bit of mix up are the units that are 915 square feet, because we have a mix of outside inwards facing, they are earning more or less money as compared to their peers. So let's look at the average profitability based on the 3 bedroom premium. The 3 stacks they are earning the least amount of money are 135, 130, and 27. And most of it are the ones that are facing inwards. And to no surprise, those that are earning the most money, right, are still the outwards facing units, which are unblocked, whether they face the road or not. So we are reaching the end of my video. And to be fair, do you think whatever I have shown really do put across a very strong point that facing does matters? Because if you look throughout it, right, every facing also make money. It's just a matter of whether they make a lot or they make very little. But the point here which I would try to address, right, is many a times when people come for viewing, right, they have a certain set of judgment or assumption about property, be it from their grandfather, father, or friends, that tell them that, if you buy this facing, you can make the most money, etc., etc. That's why a lot of people always go for the pool facing and nicest landscaping first, but it doesn't always translate to the highest profitability. The whole point here, which I want to share with you guys, is as much as facing plays a part, just look at the resale prices or the average PSF of all the units transacted. Let's go back and look at the transactions for the 1 bedroom. Look at the prices transacted. They are almost similar. And for the 2 bedroom as well, and for the 3 bedroom as well. So if the resale price or the resale PSF is so similar, right? What makes the gap in the profitability? This is something which I want to highlight here, which is more important than facing. And that is, if I may bring your attention to, the entry price. If you can see, even a lousy facing that is facing HDB, if bought in at a correct price, you can still make a relatively bigger profit than those of premium facing. So next time when you want to buy a property, right, and you look through it, always ask yourself this question first: is the premium I'm paying for the facing justifiable in the resale market? Because in the resale market, all else being equal, everyone will be judged by one thing, which is the bank valuation and past transacted. Just because you buy a nicer facing doesn't mean that it will guarantee you a better profit in the future. If you start out wrong, you will be wrong all the way. But if you start out right with a lower entry price than all your neighbors, your risk is lower and your upside is much higher. So to end this video off, does facing matter? Yes, it does matter to a certain extent. But I also feel the premium that you're paying for the facing matters even more than the facing itself if you are buying for investment or if you want to maximize your profit in the future. Of course, if it's for emotional reasons, you like to see the pool, you like to have to face nice landscaping or water feature, by all means, you can go for it as well, because it's very hard to put a dollar value on emotions. You still make money across everything. You still make money. It's just whether you make a lot or you make very little. So with it, I will end my video today. And if um, anything you can take away from this video, just remember, always ask yourself before you purchase a premium facing, right? does the premium facing justify the premium dollar you are paying when you want to sell it in the future? That's all for my video. Have a nice day.